Okay, so we love when you send us these pieces of wisdom that you're diving into, and this one is no exception.
This one's quite something.
Yeah, it is the Tao of Taijiquan Way to Rejuvenation
Hmm.
by Tsung.
Mm-hmm.
And look at this whole team of editors: Loria Elias, Sharon Rhodes, Loretta Wollering. Wow.
Yeah.
Supported by the Tai Chi Foundation. So
Yeah.
this is a book that clearly has a lot of weight behind it, and it's been around a while, right?
Well, it has.
First printing back in Taiwan in 81,
Mm-hmm.
eighth printing in 2001.
Wow.
That's the kind of longevity that suggests there's some real profound insights in here that has stood the test of time.
Yeah, it definitely speaks to a certain enduring relevance, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I know you can synthesize complex information like nobody's business.
Well, I try.
So our goal here is to really cut to the core of what Zhou Tsunghua is trying to get across in this book. Think of it as your accelerated pathway to grasping the fundamental ideas behind Taijiquan as he presents them.
Right, it's like a cheat sheet almost.
Well,
It's exactly a cheat sheet.
for the Tao.
For the Tao, right? And one of the things that really jumped out at me right at the beginning was use real vision for Taijiquan. He was hoping to see Americans of all ages practicing out in the open, like parks and stuff, recognizing its potential for mental and physical well-being.
Yeah, he really believed in its transformative power.
Yeah, and then later on, he expresses this kind of concern about it becoming a lost art.
Oh, yeah.
Almost like he hoped the book would reignite interest.
Yeah, like a preservation effort.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly. And that really speaks to his dedication, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely, a deep passion.
To share this knowledge.
Yeah.
So just looking at how the book is structured, I mean, it's quite comprehensive.
Oh, very much so.
He starts with the historical roots, where did this all come from?
Mm-hmm.
Then he dives into the philosophy of yin and yang and the 5 elements. So that's the why behind it.
Exactly, the underlying principles.
Yeah, and then he moves into the how, right? The foundational practices. So
Yeah.
Gegen meditation.
Then he gets into the wisdom of the classical texts, through your personal reflections. And then finally, the application of all this in push hands.
It's full spectrum, isn't it?
It is the full spectrum. Yeah, it's really quite remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump right into those letters from Zhu Tsunghua at the beginning, because his personal journey into this whole world of Taijiquan is quite fascinating. It starts with him getting seriously ill in his 40s, which is a heck of a motivator.
Oh, yeah, it can really shake things up, can it?
Yeah, a real wake-up call. And he talks about this observation of Mr. Yuan, who maintained just remarkable vitality in his later years through Taijiquan, and it really struck him, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. And what's interesting here is how sometimes these major health crises can really open the door to something unexpected, something profound.
Yeah.
This wasn't just a casual observation for Jiwa. It deeply inspired him. It
Mhm.
really pushed him to dedicate himself to the practice. And the book talks about the significant improvements he experienced in his own health
It's a compelling testament to the potential, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
of this practice.
Mhm.
And then he talks about, the growth of Taijiquan in the West and his move to the U.S. and his time teaching at universities. And it wasn't always a smooth transition, was it?
No, not at all. And I think if we consider the broader context, right,
Yeah.
introducing Eastern practices into Western academic systems,
Yeah.
you can appreciate the hurdles he likely encountered. Trying to fit Taijiquan into established university curricula,
Right.
which often prioritize conventional sports or purely academic subjects. It was really quite pioneering in a way
Yeah,
to bring this discipline to a whole new cultural landscape.
absolutely. And then he gets into these different styles of Taijiquan,
Mhm.
the Yang, the Wu, the Chen. And it can seem like a lot, especially for someone just starting out exploring all this.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming, can't it?
But he does point to a central unifying idea, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
What's key to understand is his emphasis on that shared foundation in using philosophy, particularly the principle of constant change.
So while the outward expressions might differ all those styles,
Yeah.
they're all rooted in this same fundamental understanding of the universe as a dynamic process.
Yeah, so it's different paths up the same mountain.
Precisely different flavors.
Right, different flavors, exactly.
Hmm.
And I noticed that in the book, he really focused on the standard postures.
Yeah.
And it seems like that was a deliberate choice
Mm-hmm.
to kind of provide a clear entry point.
Yeah, without getting bogged down in stylistic variations, right?
Right, just the essence.
Exactly.
And when it comes to actually becoming proficient in Taijiquan, He has a very clear perspective.
Mm-hmm.
He calls consistent practice and personal development the master key.
Yeah, he's very straightforward about that, isn't he?
It's very direct, yeah.
Mm,
And it speaks to something fundamental about mastering any skill.
doesn't it?
This idea that true ability comes from dedicated effort, not some hidden secret.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's quite empowering, actually.
It is. It really democratizes the learning process, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It takes away the mystique and says, look, consistent engagement is the most crucial element.
Yeah, it's not magic, it's just dedication.
Precisely.
And then he outlines these 3 distinct levels of practice.
Mm-hmm.
Can you break those down for us in a way that really clarifies the progression?
Sure, think of it like learning any complex system, like a musical instrument.
Okay.
The first level, as Ju describes it, is all about familiarizing yourself with the individual components.
Okay.
So in Taijiquan, that would be the postures themselves, getting the form right.
Right, is it the basic movements?
Exactly, the building blocks.
Okay.
Then the second level, that's where you start to connect those components with intention,
Mm-hmm.
bringing mental focus to the physical movement so it's not just going through the motions anymore.
Right, it's like understanding how each individual piece fits into the larger picture.
Exactly, you're starting to see the connections.
Yeah.
And then the final level, that's where it all comes together.
Yeah.
The operation becomes intuitive and seamless, a natural and spontaneous expression of the whole, like a master musician who can just play without thinking about each note.
Yeah, it just flows.
Exactly. It's a beautiful thing to witness.
It is. And he also talks about these breakthroughs in learning and how it's not always, a smooth upward curve.
Oh, no, definitely not. It's more like a staircase, right?
Yeah.
With plateaus and then sudden leaps forward.
And what I found insightful was his observation that progress in Taijiquan often arises from sustained, consistent effort,
Right.
rather than these sudden flashes of insight.
It's more like the gradual accumulation of pressure leading to a shift,
Yeah.
rather than a lightning strike of understanding.
You're building up to something.
Exactly. And that's a valuable perspective for anyone tackling a complex discipline, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Persistence is often the key to those moments of significant advancement.
Yeah, you got to put in the time, the reps.
You do.
And then later in 98, he reflects on his own journey,
Mm-hmm.
decades of practice. And it seems like he had a very specific aim for this book. What was his core intention at that point?
Well, after over 30 years of daily immersion in Taijiquan, his primary goal was to make the classical wisdom of the art accessible to a Western audience.
Mm-hmm.
He specifically mentions using the language of both science and philosophy
Right.
to bridge that cultural and intellectual gap.
Yeah, because it can be hard to translate these ideas.
It can be. It's a different way of thinking.
Yeah.
But it highlights his deep commitment to sharing the essence of Taijiquan in a way that would resonate.
Yeah, to make it understandable.
Exactly.
So moving into chapter 1, Roots, it's clear that, Taijiquan isn't just a set of movements.
Right.
It's embedded in this rich historical and philosophical context.
Oh, very much so. It didn't just appear out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's got deep roots.
Deep roots.
And what's fundamental to grasp is that it's deeply intertwined with ancient Chinese philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And he points out its practical origins,
Yeah,
right?
extremely.
Addressing real-world concerns. Like he references the use of the lunar calendar, the principles of yin and yang for health and longevity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's connected to this broader intellectual tradition.
The whole system.
Yeah, it gives the practice a deeper significance, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And then we have Zheng Sanfeng, who's generally credited as the founder,
Mm.
and there are all these legends surrounding him.
Oh, yeah. Fascinating stories.
Yeah, how should we understand his role?
That's the key question, isn't it? And I think it's important to make that distinction.
Okay.
While Zhong Sanfeng is traditionally recognized as the founder, the historical evidence is intertwined with these legendary accounts, the stories of his imperial service, his later life as a wandering recluse in the mountains.
Right.
So think of him as a pivotal figure in the narrative of Taijiquan's origins,
Okay.
embodying the spirit and principles, even if the precise historical details are a bit elusive.
Like a mythical figure almost.
Yeah, almost larger than life.
And the book brings up the Shaolin Temple and Wudang Mountain.
Mhm.
What's their significance in this story?
Well, if we consider the broader landscape of Chinese martial arts,
Mm-hmm.
the Shaolin Temple is historically associated with more external, physically demanding styles,
Right.
whereas Taijiquan later became closely linked with Wudang Mountain,
Yeah.
traditionally viewed as the home of internal martial arts.
Interesting. So a geographical and stylistic distinction.
Yeah, highlighting that core characteristic of Taijiquan as an internal art.
So more about cultivating inner energy.
Precisely that cultivation of qi.
Okay, and he outlines these 5 categories of movements attributed to Zhongzhang,
Mm-hmm.
each one emphasizing different qualities.
Right, they're like archetypes of movement.
Okay.
The dragon embodying spirit and fluidity.
Okay.
The tiger focused on structural strength bones.
Mm-hmm.
The leopard emphasizing focused power and force.
Yeah.
The snake cultivating internal energy and sensitivity. And then the crane training balance and stability.
Wow, so a real diversity of approaches.
It really is. It offers a glimpse into those diverse aspects integrated into the early forms of Taijiquan.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And then we delve into the different family styles,
Hmm.
the Jin, the Yang, the Wu, and the Wu Hao.
It's interesting to see how that single root can branch out in so many ways, isn't it?
It is like a family tree, almost.
Exact.
And these different branches flourishing.
The emergence of those family styles represents key stages in the evolution of Taijiquan.
Yeah.
The book mentions figures like Chen Wengting associated with the Chen style's origins,
Right.
Yang Luchen, who really popularized Taijiquan widely, leading to the development of different Yang family forms.
Yeah, he's a key figure.
He is. And then Wu Yuxiang's emphasis on cultivating internal strength in the Wu style.
Okay.
So each lineage refined and emphasized different aspects,
Right.
leading to these distinct expressions of the art.
Different flavors again.
Exactly.
And finally, in this chapter, he mentions the 42-step Taijiquan compulsory routine.
Yes, that sounds like a more recent development.
It does, doesn't it? What was its purpose?
Well, the 42-step routine is a modern, standardized form
Mm-hmm.
developed by Chinese government experts, and the aim there was to create a more accessible and unified sequence of movements
Okay.
for broader public health benefits.
So making it easier to learn and practice.
Exactly, to make it more widely accessible.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, so chapter 2 dives into the philosophy of Taijiquan, starting with this foundational concept of yin and yang.
Yes, the heart of it.
And it's more than just a cool symbol, isn't it?
Oh, much more. It's a whole way of understanding the universe.
It is, and what's crucial is understand it not as static opposites,
Right.
but as these dynamically interacting and interdependent forces.
Yeah, they're constantly in flux, aren't they?
Yeah, they give rise to all phenomena, and he uses these really relatable examples like day and night,
Mm-hmm.
the interplay between sky and earth to illustrate this constant flux and mutual reliance.
They're not separate. They're two sides of the same coin.
Exactly. And then we have the Taiji diagram itself.
Beautiful, isn't it?
It is visually representing this philosophy so elegantly.
It is. Can you walk us through its key features?
Yeah, so we have the circle representing the entirety of existence,
Mm-hmm.
and then that swirling division signifying the continuous interplay and transformation of yin and yang.
Right, and that little dot of the opposite color within each field,
Right.
that's crucial too.
What does that represent?
It indicates that within every extreme lies the seed of its contrary,
Oh, wow.
highlighting that interconnectedness
Yeah.
and the cyclical nature of these forces.
So it's always in motion,
Oh,
always changing, and he emphasizes its application beyond just Taijiquan.
oh, absolutely. This is a model for understanding balance and harmony in all aspects of life.
Powerful stuff. And then before yin and yang, he mentions Wuji.
Yes, the primordial state.
It sounds like pure potential.
Exactly. Wuji is described as the undifferentiated void,
Okay.
the state of boundless potential that precedes the emergence of Taiji.
So before the duality.
Exactly, before yin and yang manifests.
Interesting. And then we encounter the 5 elements.
Wood, fire, earth, metal, water.
How do they fit into this whole worldview?
Well, the 5 elements offer another layer of understanding those dynamic relationships within the universe.
Okay.
It's important to see them not as literal substances,
Right.
but as energetic qualities or phases that are in constant interaction,
Okay.
characterized by these cycles of creation and restriction.
It's getting complex now.
It is, but it's fascinating, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And he connects those elements to various aspects of traditional Chinese medicine. Right. Organs, seasons, directions, emotions. It's all interconnected.
It paints this holistic picture.
It does. And then we get into the more abstract realm of the 8 trigrams.
Those ancient symbols.
Yeah, they seem to represent fundamental aspects of reality.
They do think of them as further refinements of yin and yang,
Okay.
each symbolizing different natural phenomena,
Okay.
like heaven, earth, thunder, wind, water, fire, mountain, lake.
representing all these different forces.
Exactly. And they also represent family members and various qualities.
Interesting.
It's a more detailed symbolic language for understanding the patterns of change
Yeah.
and the interconnectedness of the universe arising from that initial Taiji.
Wow, it's like a whole language almost.
It is a symbolic language.
And then he briefly mentions the four symbols.
Yes, those can be seen as intermediary stages between the fundamental yin and yang
Okay.
and the more complex 8 trigrams.
So another layer of refinement.
Precisely. They represent major aspects of yin and yang,
Mm-hmm.
greater yin, lesser yin, greater yang, lesser yang,
Okay.
offering a more granular way to categorize the spectrum of those fundamental forces and their manifestations.
Wow, it's like a fractal almost. You keep zooming in and there's more complexity.
That's a great way to put it.
And then this next concept is really intriguing, this continuous present in Taiji philosophy.
Oh, yes. That's a mind bender.
It is the analogy of the falling apple and its shadow.
It's such a simple analogy,
Yeah.
but it really gets the point across.
It does how our perception often lags behind the immediacy of reality.
Right. We tend to experience time as a series of discrete moments. But in truth, it's a continuous flow.
Yeah.
And this concept encourages that deeper immersion in the present moment during Taijiquan practice,
Okay.
moving beyond a fragmented perception of time.
Be here now.
Exactly.
And it even hints at Taijiquan potentially cultivating a new awareness of space and time.
That's the really profound implication, isn't it?
It is maybe even touching on a four-dimensional understanding.
The suggestion is that through that heightened sensory awareness developed in Taijiquan, the sensitivity to subtle shifts in weight, the flow of energy, the interconnectedness of movement,
Yeah.
one might develop a more intuitive and expansive understanding of space and time, potentially moving beyond our conventional three-dimensional framework.
So it can actually change our perception.
That's the idea. It's about the transformative potential of the practice.
Fascinating. Okay, so Chapter 3 shifts to the foundation of Taijiquan. And it's clear that, a solid base is essential before attempting those more complex movements.
Oh, absolutely. Just like building a house, you need a strong foundation.
Right, and this chapter outlines those essential preliminary practices that cultivate the necessary internal energy and body awareness for effective Taijiquan.
It's about preparing the ground.
Exactly, and a key element of that foundation is Taijiquan.
Ah, yes, the cultivation of qi.
And he details several different breathing methods for specific purposes.
Yes. Taiji Qigong is presented as a vital tool for cultivating and harmonizing that essential life force.
Right, and he describes various breathing techniques, natural deep cleansing tonic, and alternate nostril breathing.
Right.
It's like a whole toolbox.
It is, think of them as tuning instruments for your internal energy system.
I like that. And then there's this fascinating idea of breathing without breathing.
Ah, yes, a more advanced stage.
What does that actually mean in practice?
Well, it describes a state of very refined practice.
Where the breath becomes so natural and integrated with the movements that it's no longer a conscious, separate act.
So it's just happening.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
signifies a deep attunement to the body's energetic flow,
Yeah.
where the breath arises spontaneously and in perfect coordination with the Taijiquan forms.
Wow, it's like a natural rhythm.
Exactly. It unfolds effortlessly.
Beautiful. And he mentions the Dantian as that crucial center of qi.
The lower abdomen, that energetic hub.
Can you explain its significance?
Well, the Dantian is considered the primary reservoir and center of circulation for qi in the body.
Okay.
And Zhu discusses this concept of both inherited pre-birth qi and the qi that we cultivate through practices like breath work and movement post-birth qi.
So there's like an innate energy in the one we develop.
Precisely. And focusing on the Dantian is fundamental for developing internal power stability and energetic coherence in Taijiquan.
It's like the root of it all.
In a way, yes.
And then he introduces these specific foundational postures.
Postures 9, 10, and 11, with detailed instructions on alignment. So proper form is critical.
Oh, absolutely. Those foundational postures are presented with meticulous attention to detail,
Yeah.
emphasizing precise body alignment and the coordinated engagement of different muscle groups.
Yeah, you can tell he's really particular about this.
They serve as fundamental building blocks for the more complex Taijiquan sequences,
Right.
ensuring a structurally sound and energetically efficient practice.
So you got to get the basics right.
Mastering these basics is essential for long-term progress.
And then we have Taiji meditation, or Jingzhu.
Cultivating stillness.
And it's not just about quiet contemplation, is it?
No, Taiji meditation has a very specific purpose
Okay.
to cultivate both qi and jing,
Okay.
often translated as vital essence,
Interesting.
leading to enhanced health mental clarity,
Mm-hmm.
and even as the book suggests, a connection to higher states of awareness.
So it's about more than just relaxation.
Oh, much more. It involves maintaining a relaxed yet upright posture, either standing or seated, allowing the body's energy to settle, accumulate, and circulate freely.
And finally, in this chapter, we're introduced to Chanjing, or silk reeling energy.
Ah, yes, that's a beautiful concept.
It sounds like a core principle that really distinguishes Taijiquan movement.
It is indeed. Chansijing, or silk reeling energy, is a defining characteristic.
Mm-hmm.
It emphasizes this continuous spiraling quality
Okay.
that originates from the dantian and extends through the limbs,
Mm-hmm.
like unwinding silk from a cocoon.
I love that imagery.
It's evocative, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that coiling and uncoiling action is key to generating internal power, maintaining fluidity, and connecting all parts of the body in the movement.
So it's about moving as a unified whole.
Exactly.
Okay. Chapter 4 delves into the classics, these essential texts that offer deeper insights.
It's like going to the source code, isn't it?
It is, yeah, like getting the original wisdom.
And those Chinese classics are foundational writings
Mhm.
that encapsulate the core principles, theories, and wisdom of Taijiquan.
So it's going beyond just the physical movements.
Right. Studying them provides a richer and more nuanced understanding of the art.
Yeah, like understanding the why behind the how.
Exactly.
And it starts with Zhang Sanfeng's theory of Taijiquan, or Taijiquan Lun.
The foundational text.
What are some of the key ideas in this one?
Well, Zhang Sanfeng's theory emphasizes key principles like lightness,
Okay.
agility, and the importance of a unified whole-body movement.
Mm-hmm.
A central idea is that movement should be initiated by the mind
Okay.
and guided by the flow of qi.
So intention is key.
Absolutely. It highlights that crucial internal focus
Yeah.
and the integration of mental intention with physical action.
It's all connected.
It is.
And then there's Wu Yuxiang's statement about the body moving as a unified whole.
Ah, yes, that's a fundamental principle for achieving coordination and power.
He says, remember that when one part of the body moves, all parts of the body move. When one part of the body is still, the rest of the body should be still.
It's a beautifully concise statement, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It underscores the profound need for internal awareness and sensitivity.
Right.
It emphasizes the interconnectedness of the entire body in Taijiquan.
So you can't just isolate one part.
No, it requires a coordinated and unified effort in every movement.
It's a whole body practice.
It is.
And then we have the 13 postures, introduced as these fundamental energies or applications.
Can you give us a brief sense of what each of these represents?
Yeah, so the 13 postures are Peng Li Jiang Kai, Lai Su Kao Jin, Tui Gu Panding.
Wow, quite a mouthful.
It is, yeah. And they represent fundamental energetic actions or applications within Taijiquan.
Right, think of them as core strategies.
Right.
Like ward off, that's an outward expansion.
Okay.
Roll back yields and absorbs.
Mhm.
Press directs force forward. Push is a sustained forward projection.
Mhm.
Pull down draws energy downward. Split separates.
Wow.
Elbow utilizes the elbow. Shoulder strike uses the shoulder forward advance, backward step, glance to the left, look to the right, and central equilibrium maintains balance.
Okay, so each one has a specific energetic quality.
Exactly, and understanding these energies is key to applying Taijiquan principles in movement and interaction.
So it's not just about the form, it's about the underlying energy.
Precisely.
And then the concept of understanding Jin, or intrinsic energy, is discussed.
Ah, yes, that refined power.
How does one cultivate that?
Well, understanding Jin refers to the development of this refined intrinsic power in Taijiquan
Okay.
that goes beyond mere muscular strength.
Right, it's not brute force.
No, it's something more subtle.
Yeah.
And the book explains that it arises from consistent practice cultivating sensitivity to subtle forces, learning to yield and redirect an opponent's energy rather than meeting force with force.
It's like using their energy against them.
In a way, yes, it's about developing an internal awareness of leverage and momentum.
Fascinating. And the principle of distinguishing between substantial and insubstantial sounds crucial for maintaining balance and agility.
Oh, it's fundamental.
Yeah.
That ability to differentiate between substantial, where your weight is focused, and insubstantial, where it's light and mobile.
Yeah.
That's crucial for maintaining balance, generating power, and moving with agility in Taijiquan.
This is a constant shifting.
It is a constant shifting of weight that allows for both stability and effortless movement.
It's like dancing almost.
In a way, yes, a very precise and controlled dance.
And finally, we have the internal explanation of the practice of the 13 postures attributed to Wu Yuqing.
Ah, yes. Offering even deeper insights.
What are some key takeaways from this one?
Well, this text delves into the internal mechanics of practicing those stuffing postures.
Okay.
It emphasizes the proper direction of qi flow within the body, the importance of maintaining an upright spine for energetic alignment.
Right. So posture is key.
It is, and it reinforces the understanding that Taijiquan is not just an external form,
Right.
but a deeply internal practice involving the cultivation and skillful application of qi and mindful awareness.
So it's about harmonizing all those elements. So after this thorough exploration of Tsung as the Tao of Taijiquan, what would you say are the most crucial insights for someone trying to grasp the essence of this book quickly but comprehensively?
Well, I think the book presents Taijiquan as a truly holistic discipline,
Okay.
seamlessly weaving together a rich historical narrative, profound philosophical underpinnings rooted in ancient Chinese wisdom, essential foundational practices for cultivating internal energy and classical principles that guide movement and application.
This whole system.
It is, and all those elements are intrinsically linked with the ultimate aim of promoting rejuvenation and a deep sense of well-being.
It's not just about the physical, it's about the mental and spiritual as well.
Exactly. It's about cultivating wholeness.
And the recurring threads that stand out are the absolute necessity of consistent and dedicated practice.
Yes, that comes up again and again.
It does.
Cultivation of a refined internal awareness and the profound interconnectedness between the mind, the body, and the very essence of the art of Taijiquan.
Yeah, it transcends mere physical exercise.
Absolutely. It becomes a practice that engages the mind, body, and spirit in a continuous journey of learning, refinement, and self-discovery.
So for you listening, as you've absorbed all of this, what resonates most deeply, is it the historical lineage that captures your imagination? Or perhaps the intricate philosophical framework of yin and yang and the five elements that sparks your intellectual curiosity?
It's rich with ideas.
It is.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the practical aspects of movement and the cultivation of internal energy that feel most compelling. Consider how these fundamental principles, the dynamic balance of yin and yang, the absolute necessity of a strong foundation, might extend beyond those graceful movements of Taijiquan and offer valuable perspectives on other seemingly unrelated areas of your own life.
It's a fascinating thought, isn't it?
It is a fascinating tapestry of ideas to contemplate.